This month, Streaming Things is brought to you by our super Patreon supporters, Chester Copperpot, Jade, Jillian Morgan, Aaron Layton, Andrew Gray, Casey McCain, Crystal Trujillo, Jen Robinson, John Collins, Kalisha Reeves, Kate, Kiki Newton, and Will Nash.
Kick.
Welcome back. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy. And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things, the one podcast to rule them all.
And in the RSS feed, bind them.
Except we don't really rule them. It's more of a democratic, friendly nature. Like,
yeah.
if we were ever to meet another podcast, we would be kind.
Yeah, we're like citizens. Lend me your ballots, and
Well, we're like the modern day monarchy, just figureheads, really.
Truly.
So we just finished episode 3 of The Rings of Power. It is named Adar. Adar!
First of his name? I don't know.
I don't know. We don't know how many Adars there have been.
All we know
blurry
about
boy?
Adar is he is potentially a blurry boy.
That's true.
A very blurry boy. Much like me on that screen right now. I'm very blurry there.
What if Adar, like Bigfoot, is just blurry in real life?
That would be hilarious.
And that's just the way that he looks. And everybody's knocking him for no reason.
Wasn't there a skit with Robin Williams where he just like, I'm feeling just a little, out of touch, right? Out of focus right now. And he's like the one out of focus character that's on screen. Probably. I'm talking about it all. It's hysterical.
That sounds right.
I have no memory of that.
No.
So the way that this works is we'll talk about some corrections that we might have from previous episodes of the Rings of Power coverage, things that we got wrong, which happens often, especially with lore as deep as this. And then we'll give our overall thoughts on episode 3. Then we'll do a scene-by-scene breakdown and recap, followed by Second Breakfast, which is where we talk about some lore tidbits, maybe Easter eggs, if that applies to this content at all. Mm-hmm. And then we'll do a section we call Old Toby, finest scenes in the South Father.
Old Toby.
We talk about our top 3 favorite moments of the episode, and then we'll cap it off with the one scene to rule them all.
One performance.
Oh, that's right. One performance to rule them all. Or our favorite performance of the episode. So that's how these episodes work. Thank you all for tuning in and supporting us and listening. As always, love you so much. So any hoozle, we're going to dive right in here in a moment. But first, I want to do something a little different. I didn't even tell Steve and Andy, and that's why I forgot to mention it. So I'm just
throwing me a curveball this early in the episode.
That's the best time because everything else is just smooth sailing, don't you think?
Oh, man. We'll see. We'll find out.
Hey, man, you take that curve and then it's fastballs from then on out.
Baseball.
As you all know,
Sports.
we often ask for ratings and reviews on like iTunes or Apple Podcast app, Spotify, wherever you're listening to it. And I read all of them. And I think all of us do, I think. But I certainly I think it's part of my daily regimen. Just check the new ones that come in and so on and so forth. So I wanted to read this review because I found it heartening, touching, if you will.
Oh, okay.
So this review is called Very Enjoyable. And it's by Tabby.
Old Tabby.
Old Tabby. And it says, I love listening to these guys talk through my favorite shows from Stranger Things to The Rings of Power. I will say, when I search for any podcast, I, as a woman, prefer something with at least one woman in it. But when it comes to review podcasts, that can be a very hard find. I imagine it is. 3 dudes over here just shaking their heads. Mm-hmm.
What a novel concept.
Indeed. However, while these 3 guys can be very guy, quote unquote, LOL, they are also amazing when it comes to talking about women characters and being allies in general. I also find their tone and their pacing very easy to listen to, which may not be of note to most listeners, but as a person with ADHD and health issues that often cause migraines, the pacing of most podcasts is very hard for me to follow. I just wind up zoning out. So people who go at a decent pace, talking, not super fast, and who keep it fresh and entertaining too is something I value and something these guys are awesome at. Aww. When I am not feeling well, but also stuck in traffic or doing chores, I need something to be a good distraction. And these guys have joined only about 2 other podcasts that fit that bill. Oh, so I'm very grateful to them and this podcast in helping me laugh and in helping me take my mind off the shite feeling of being sick. It's also very clear they care about their listeners beyond just being faceless numbers. I definitely recommend you give them a try. So that was a longer review.
That was very enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah, thank you, Tabby. Thank you.
I don't think I was having the best mental health day the other day when I read that review. and it helped a lot. So I just want you guys to know, the reason I wanted to do that was just to tell you that I read the reviews and they mean a lot to me. And it's awesome that I can imagine somebody kind of trying to find a show to check out and coming upon that review and maybe, oh, okay, or if not, even if I'm the only one that reads it, I was very much appreciative of that. So just want to throw that out there. We read them all. They make me feel good.
I just want to throw this out here, Chris. There's probably an elephant in the room right now, especially for
That's
people.
Ellie. She's a dog.
She is. You're right.
Elephant.
No, especially for the people who watch us on YouTube is yes.
Oh, the beard.
I don't have my beard.
Oh, yeah.
I messed up shaving really badly this week and I had to shave it all off. I'm not thrilled about it. So, but luckily for you, you get to see this 12-year-old boy talk to you about Lord of the Rings and
Look at that chin. Shit.
I think you look fabulous, Steve.
You look great, man.
You got the shadow already. In a week's time, it'll be a smaller beard, kind of like I have.
it's sprouting out.
Last time you shaved your head too, so
true.
This isn't nearly as drastic.
Let's start off with a few corrections in episodes past. I can't recall if I said this or not, so I'm just going to say it again. But I know that I said that at one point, the Rings of Power is based on the Silmarillion. It is not. The Amazon has no rights to the Silmarillion. They own rights to Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and that's it. So like the Legendarium, the Silmarillion, the something letters. There's another book of super nerd canon, which is just like letters and stuff that Tolkien wrote. They can't access any of that. They're not allowed to use any of that. So all they can use for this story is because the Silmarillion would have been great because it talks at length about all this stuff in the Silmarillion. All they have is the appendices to the Lord of the Rings. So
Which is probably a book in and of itself.
as I recall, it's 90 pages of stuff or whatever, but it's just like little anecdotes and notes about what happened. So they don't have much to go on, and
this is the appendices specifically in Return of the King.
probably
Right? I think.
as I recall,
that's what I
or
read.
maybe, yeah, probably. But all I know for sure is the correction is it's not technically based on the Silmarillion. So I said that a few times. That was wrong every time. And they also really don't have the rights to the original Lord of the Rings movies, the Peter Jackson's movies either. So they can't like directly reference those blatantly either. So I think a lot of the issues that hardcore fans are having, like the ones that are not prejudiced, they just can't be gotten around by Amazon, like for legal dumb reasons, right? That's really not their fault. It's just the way that the business of it's kind of like how there was no X-Men in the MCU just because they didn't own the right and they couldn't say mutant, shit like that. Like it's just legal stuff that gets in the way. So I wanted to say that. I also said many times how much I love the performance of Morfydd Clark. That is not her name. At least that's not how you pronounce it.
Okay.
It is, and I'm probably going to butcher even this correction, but I believe it's Morvith.
Morvith.
So even though it's Morfydd, or YDD, it is V and TH that you use as the sound, like Morvith.
Interesting.
Morvith Clark. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. So she's the villain.
Aha!
Or is that Morgoth? Oh, damn. It's close.
Yeah. So close. So close. Less goth. And then finally, we got a couple of emails. We'll probably talk about this again on the mailbag because it's really fun. We got an explanation in our Discord and an email about
In our Discord?
the
I missed it?
No, you were, or did you not? You haven't looked at Discord at all, have you?
No, not while I've been
Well,
gone.
now I want to pull it up exactly because I don't want to give Steve wrong info. This is all new to him.
Okay.
So there is an etymological root.
Things are happening, guys. It's happening right now.
It turns out, Steve, that rattle your dags.
Oh, shit. I don't know if I want to know.
Oh, are you gonna ruin the spell
I have headcanon.
of Dags being rattled to me?
It is a real world canon. And I'm trying to find the exact. Here it is. Per Urban Dictionary.
Okay.
Rattle your dags. And this is from Jordanesque in the Discord. Rattle your dags. Get a move on. Hurry up. So we got that much.
Okay. All right.
It's from sheep dags. Crusty bits of dried shit stuck in the fleece around the bum, which rattle as they run. So
Wow.
the dags are the little crusty turds that rattle as they run.
Who sent that in?
That was the
Jordanesque?
Yeah.
Thank you.
But we also
you've somehow made rattle your dags an even greater thing in my life. That
so dags are not feet. They are the crusted turds.
they are dingleberries and sheep.
That's correct.
They're sheep dingleberries.
We also got an email about that, so we'll probably read that again on Mailbag Day.
Oh my gosh.
Riley got dags.
Oh man. I leave the show for 5 days and I come back to this. What a treat.
We also got, this is kind of a fun game for me, finding out like Middle Earth slurs.
Slurths.
Like, pejoratives, cuss words.
Oh yes.
Slothabout is the one I caught today.
Sloth about.
Yeah, dang slothabout. All right, episode 3, Adar. It starts off with Arendir being carried. Oh, no. Before we do that, I'm actually really curious. I want to get this off my chest and I'm actually scared. Steve, what did you think about this episode 3?
I thought it was fine. A lot of my complaints from the second episode are snowballing. It appears they're not getting better in terms of like, let's start focusing on something, please. Mm-hmm. And in this episode alone, they're like, all right, we're going to start this. I don't know. We're not a B plot anymore. It's like at this point, we're at like
there's so many letters.
K or L.
We're in the Elven alphabet.
Where they're like, here's this
Quinion,
this dude and his family and his kid wants to be a shipmate, but not really. And he's got a sister and they've got lines. And I'm like, who are these people? Can we go back to Arendir? Because at least like that was the most interesting part of this episode. Everything else, I was just kind of like, all right, come on, let's get back to. Can we see the elf or can we see the dwarf guy again? Can we see Durin? Yeah. What's Elrond doing? We left Killing Brimbor in the fucking sticks 2 episodes ago. Did he make it back home?
I'm pretty confident Celebrimbor has no bearing on the plot, like the overall plot.
Hello, I'm lost. But I don't know. It's just kind of, they were just introducing a lot of things I didn't really care about.
Sure.
Yeah. And I was frustrated because there are things in this show that I do care about. They just seem to just want to focus on these other things so much, and I don't know how important they are.
Nori has a sister now, so that's a thing.
We'll get to that, Andy. Because Andy and I both had this like knee-jerk reaction when is that her sister or is that her brother? I don't know. Some younger sibling just pops out. Can we keep him? And we're like, who the fuck is that?
They did. That is verbatim what happened.
Has this person always existed on this show? Who
we
the
don't
fuck
know.
is that? But so this, like I said, this episode seems to be compounding a lot of my issues that I really want them to just shuffle off the fat and really focus on the meat and really get the story rolling. Cause we're like almost halfway done with the series, right? It's only 8 episodes long, right?
Yep.
Correct.
And this is episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
So we're almost
the halfway point.
We're almost halfway there. We should be through Act 1, but I don't feel like we've actually even gotten to the beginning of Act 1. We're all still setting up Act 1. It's weird.
Well, there was one huge plot point revealed in this episode, but yes, I'm with you.
Plurally.
Yeah. Plurally. I would say it's more Halbrand.
Oh,
that whole thing.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, we'll get there.
But Andy, what were your overall thoughts?
Steve, it was okay. Again, some high highs, but it felt pretty plotting. But I just have to say, fuck, the show is gorgeous. Like the set design, the costumes, like you can see the money, even when it was just like the side plot they don't care about, and the dude's son on the boat, and it's like, and I know he's important, but the dude's son on the boat. Our
listeners are going nuts right now. The dude.
I just kept being like, fuck, that's a nice boat.
Excuse me, sir. Say his real name.
They built that boat and we got to see some places that we've only ever heard about, and that was awesome. Again, just the design of the world is so beautiful and so true to what we experienced growing up, and so I had fun with it, even though I don't think that it was like the best as far as like moving the plot along.
Absolutely.
Chris?
So I have to be very careful here in my mind, because we got a lot of emails about people that switched to our podcast during the Stranger Things coverage. And I'm not going to name any names, but there's some other big podcasts, and we got dozens of emails like, God, you can just tell how much you guys love Stranger Things, if nothing else. And like a lot of these other podcasts are just constantly having bad takes, getting it wrong, and they just don't even feel like they enjoy watching the show. So it's like, why are you making a podcast about it? Thanks, guys. We got something to that effect dozens of times. And so I don't want to be stuck covering Rings of Power when I don't like Rings of Power. And I don't want to like inflict that upon our listeners, right? I hated this episode strongly. I feel like I felt like it was, and maybe I'm just, how I kind of get emotional and overreact, but like it was in the midst of everything going on in my life. It was so mind-numbingly plotting that I was like, uh-oh. And
like
not
the
even just
show
that,
anymore.
like I like to meander, especially a show this expensive. Like Andy said, it's gorgeous, but I think it's a case of like so much style over substance. They're just like, hey man, we paid $322,000 to actually build this boat and have all the little filigree on their armor and stuff. So we're gonna do this in slow-mo, and we're gonna linger for 11 minutes on this 1.5-minute scene because we spent so much money on it. Isn't it pretty? And I'm like, it is pretty, but I'm fucking bored to tears. And I'm just going off right now because I want to vent. I just want to be
popping
I
off.
just want to keep it real.
He's popping off.
And like you said, and we'll get into exactly why. So I don't want to spend this whole episode though being like, and then this fucking guy. Like
Sure,
I'm not
yeah.
interested in doing that.
Yeah, I don't
for
like
our
doing that
listeners.
either. Yeah, I don't like doing that either.
But like that's how I feel. So I'm going to say a couple things from time to time, like that really bother me. There is a lot to like as well. And like you said, like I love the first 2 episodes. And it kind of goes back to our conversation about Kenobi as well, because it's like, there's also this element of like the kind of person that has been outspokenly against this particular show really makes me want to love it. So I'm like, ooh.
yeah.
But I do think a lot of the problems, that's why I brought that up, that I have fall back to them. They don't have the rights to the Silmarillion. And so they keep coming up with these like tangential ways to kind of bring you back to the spirit of the Peter Jackson movies. And it's kind of annoying me more than it's working. You know what I mean? And we'll get to a couple of examples, but I'm going to try to focus on stuff I loved. I do like this show. I think it'll pick up very soon, but I'm frustrated. A couple people in our Discord were like, hey, I'm really excited for you to watch it, knowing that ours is delayed this week. I love this episode, Chris, let me know. And I'm just like, oh no. Any hoozle, let's dive right in. So it opens with Arondir being carried. So last time we saw him, he was dragged out of the wet tunnel by a bunch of orc hands. And we find out every elf that was in his company that was supposed to go back home is captive of these orcs, right? Okay, I know I just said what I said. How the fuck is that possible? I'm sorry. They're all elves. They're like world-class immortal warriors that have trained for millennia. And orcs just get destroyed like candy in Peter Jackson's movies.
Well, they took them by surprise. They didn't know the orcs were there. Like
Legolas would not have been caught by himself by any of those.
Yeah. Well, Legolas is like
a whole army of elves. We're like,
super
fuck, they
badass.
got us. Shit.
Yeah, but Legolas is like the Michael Jordan of elves. Like, you know, they're like young elflings who are like, oh, I've got Dream Team card of Legolas on the Fellowship.
I've got my
Scottie
new
Pippen.
You see my new pair of Legolas 4s?
Yeah, he's 100% the Jordan of elves, you know? So you can't really compare other, day-to-day elves to the boy Legolas, right?
Sure.
I said the boy, the man, right? And like Andy said, we don't know. It is kind of silly. It is at first because we only got to spend so few time with those other elves. So when they're revealed to already have been captured, there's a moment where Andy and I were like, is that the guy I was walking with the first episode? We're like,
Yes.
I guess.
And like my biggest problem with this episode in particular, but like they keep trying to shove these unearned emotional moments down your throat. Cause it's like, there's a number of them. Like there's some slow-mos, some character deaths, some like characters in danger. I don't care about any of it. I don't think, and I don't think that's my fault. I'm like, I'm trying to keep fucking tabs on what's going on.
Yeah. Because really with this scene in particular, what's going on with the prison camp or the work camp that we see Arondir in, out of all those characters, Arondir is the one that we know the best.
Yes.
We feel for him the most. We've spent the most time with him. But
he's the only one whose name we know.
He's the only one whose name we know. But at the same time, we haven't really exactly spent a lot of time with Arondir, really.
Yeah.
No.
Like maybe a combined 20 minutes over the course of 3 episodes.
He milked that cow.
So if he was killed,
I remember that.
Let's not remember that. If he were to be killed in this episode, then it would be like, oh, okay, that's Arondir, the guy we know. But like when it's like, oh, there's the guy who kind of walked in the background and said, you flirting with that girl again?
Right.
Yeah.
And that's literally all he says. It doesn't ring true.
We don't even know for sure if it was that guy.
Guy.
We saw him so little.
We're pretty sure.
Yeah, we're pretty sure though.
Okay.
Because that was
because-
definitely the watch warden. The other gentleman was the watch warden.
like his boss.
Yeah.
Mayor Doc or something. I took his name down.
Now, if we want to be positive, positives, I really, really love the design of the orcs. I think
the practical
orcs look
orcs
great.
are amazing.
I love how the orcs are kind of in this, because the sun hurts them at this point. They're like basically vampires. So they're like they're in these like tattered, ragged robes.
Their skin starts to glitter when they get in the sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a killer, Bella.
But they've fashioned like a shanty roof over the tunnel that they're building, and they kind of like huddle behind that, and they won't go out into the sunlight. And at one point, one of the orcs is like, "I already had the day shift," and he's like, "Oh, you'll be out in the sun till your back is cold." Like, I love that type of shit. Like, I think all of the orc
They captured the
mannerisms,
spirit of the orcs from the Peter Jackson movies for sure.
There's literally one shot in particular towards the end where an orc, I think he's holding up an axe, but he's doing this like he's got his mouth open and he's snarling, and like that is a Two Towers orc if I've ever seen one. Like at any point he could have said like, "Nah, what about them? They're fresh meat."
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Yeah, I love the practical orcs. And we should have said, I don't know if we talked too much about it, but it's pretty obvious at this point that the Southlands, just if you've ever looked at a map before in the current timeline of Lord of the Rings, is Mordor. Mm-hmm. We're all on the same page there?
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing. They're blighting the land. They're cutting down the trees. They're digging trenches so they can go to other villages and be like, see?
Trees are strong, my lord. And the roots grow deep.
Is this the origin story of how the orcs discovered how to take down trees? Because in this episode, they're like, we can't do nothing about that tree. Fuck.
What do you do with that?
We need the elves. Chop it down. And then this is when we find out about Adar, which every time I say that name, I think of the villain from A Knight's Tale, one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
First Jocelyn and now Adimar. That's what I think of every time. But it's just Adar.
Rupert.
Yes.
What's his last name?
Rupert something.
Suis.
But it's Sewell.
Rupert Sewell.
But it definitely is Adimar. But it's not that. It's Adar. So that's what's going on. They're all, basically breaking rocks in prison.
They're digging the tunnels that they've been hiding under.
Yeah, that they didn't need the elves to dig before. So I don't know why they need them now and wouldn't just kill them. That seems to probably save them trouble in the long run.
Sorry, it's Rufus Sewell.
Rufus,
not Rupert. Sorry. Rufus.
Wrong.
Samsonite.
Just grind the show to a halt talking about Rupert. Halbrand and Galadriel on the boat is what we cut to next. They've been rescued by a mysterious seaman, we'll say. And they try to inject some humor a few times, and sometimes it works. This is one of those moments. Halbrand specifically has a pretty good relationship with Galadriel ever since he saved her. And he's, gives her like some oatmeal or some gruel or something, and she kind of sniffs at it, and he's like, "It's not poison," and she takes a bite, and he's like, "At least not for humans." Yeah, I thought that was a pretty decent joke.
Yeah,
a little maybe it's poisonous to elves joke, and she's like, "Ha ha ha, might be." No.
I wonder what that would be like. What is poisonous to humans, or not poisonous to humans, but is to elves? I feel like it would be McDonald's.
Yeah. Any kind of like processed food with like high MSGs.
Yeah, like fried Oreos.
High fructose corn syrup.
Yeah. The elves are like, no.
Like you give them a Nutty Buddy and they're like, "Ah, yeah. Tell me, where is Gandalf? He was supposed to pack the fudge rounds." And she's an Eldar. That's another word for elves. And that's what bothers me about Tolkien. It's like, I'm trying really fucking hard, man. I'm taking notes. I'm a smart guy. I've read Lord of the Rings at least twice. I've watched the movies dozens of times, but there's like elves. And then they're also Eldar. They speak Elvish, which is also Quenya, which might be a dialect of Elvish. I'm not sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's too much going on.
Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
what's going on?
It's realistic, but it's like as much as our world, as the real world.
Correct.
And it's like that's
too much. Yeah.
Aren't they called Valar as well? Or
no, Valar are like the gods.
Oh, okay.
They're like the beings before things existed.
Okay.
Like the Valar were just floating around in space. Like, what's up, man?
What do we do?
Should we make something?
Okay.
I call this an elf.
I made a dwarf. But I mean, I can try again. I mean, I see you're batting 1,000 over there.
Yours are all stubby and hairy.
I like it.
You think these are stubby? Check out these Harfoots. Anyway.
Hard feet.
That's what they do. And then there's this, I know.
So that's the Valar.
You guys just have to offset me and I'll speak your negative. Because then this conversation is one of the worst things I've ever seen. She's like, "Hello." And he's like, "What up? You're on my boat." And she's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, you'll see. And she's like, all right, where are we going? And he's like, you'll see. And he's like, she's like, no, but seriously. And he's like, home. And then there's like this long moment where the audience is just forced to say, so where is that? And then there's like this next scene. Is it the next scene when they're in like Rockhead Land?
Yeah.
So
Rockhead Land.
he basically says Nunya with like for no reason.
Newman Nunya.
Like, why wouldn't he just tell him? And then it cuts to the next scene. We get giant rock faces and stuff. And it's like, there's the vibe of that scene is such that I felt like you were supposed to know where that was. You know what I mean? Because it's such a long, winding.
Oh, it's the faces.
Yeah.
Place.
Like my first thought watching it was, oh, that's fucking Gondor, bruh.
Oh shit.
Because I saw the giant Denethor like jumping pad.
Jumping pad.
And it reminded me of that scene when they're on the little boats and they saw like the giant statues and stuff. And
yeah, I think they're trying to evoke the grand majesty of seeing those type of locales that are in the original movies.
You are supposed to remember that scene like I remembered because that's legally the closest they can get.
Yeah, I don't think you were supposed to know what Numenor looked like, but you were supposed to get that feeling that hit of dopamine, like, oh, we're about to see a cool thing.
Mm-hmm. And it was
hear
gorgeous.
The sweeping score of like, look at this beautiful city, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah, and Bear McCreary's crushing it. I do love the score throughout this episode. I just sometimes it was a little really like so epic, and I did not even understand what was going on in the scene. I was like, oh, is this epic?
Can I share with you guys?
Oh my God, it's home.
Can I share you guys my hot take of the show so far?
Yeah.
Everyone's been talking about how great the score is of the show. I think the score is 100% mediocre at best, including Howard Shore's intro music. Like it's not memorable at all. Like
Steven,
I cannot think of
you take that back, you put it back, and you keep it deep down inside.
All right, I'm going to bury it until it causes a stroke later in life.
Memorable. I'll give you that. I have no idea what it sounds like at this moment. Mm-hmm. It's definitely no Pirates of the Caribbean. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that would be dope. You're going into Numenor.
That's amazing.
But yeah, that's my hot take. I just wanted I know a lot of people love it, and I'm glad you do. But like like the score from the original trilogy is like so memorable and so huge. So that's why when everyone was like, "Oh, do you know Howard Shore did the intro?" Like, I wish you hadn't told me.
Yeah,
because I think the intro music is.
He was smoking a little old Toby at the time.
He was like, I'll fit this in between. And
that's the thing. If they had the rights to the movies, they could have these little like cues,
motifs, musical.
Yeah, like the Game of Thrones just straight up used the same one. You know, House of the Dragon.
Right.
And so it is in fact Numenor, which is an ancient kind of race of men. They live longer. So the Numenorians live to be 200, 300, 400 years old, as far as I can recall. And that is the species of man of which Aragorn is a part. So he's, another word for a Numenorian? Is it
Dunedain?
Dunedain? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, you're right.
And when I was reading it as a kid, I'd say Dunedain. Definitely not it. It's Dunedain, right? Dunedain. Not my fault. I was 10. And then we learn about the history of Numenor. So the Valar, the gods, granted them the island. They created the island for the Numenorians for fighting alongside the elves against Morgoth.
The Valar did?
Yeah. So the Valar raised the island for fighting with the elves.
Oh, okay.
And then
missed that part.
Then they became dicks and said that we're not going to hang out with elves no more.
No more.
In fact, elves can't come here.
Basically the American Revolution.
I think so. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, they spilled a bunch of elvish tea in the bay.
So wait, in that analogy, the elves are colonizers? Is that what you're saying? Might be. So nobody in Numenor likes elves. They haven't seen one in like, how many? Because it's multiple generations of Numenorian.
My grandfather's great-grandfather's.
But their lifespan, that's like 1,500 years or something?
Sure.
Yeah, long time.
Presumably.
Long time. And what's cool about elves is like, Galadriel was alive then.
Yeah, she was there.
It's like, dang, I've been here forever.
Man, this place used to be so nice.
Is that a new rock face? That's a nice rock face.
There was only 3 when I was last here. Now there's 5.
It's all just a bunch of Walmarts now.
Yeah, so they walk into like the council chambers and they're like, hold up, Elendil, you got to wait. And then he's like, oh shit, you got an elf? Never mind, you better roll through here. And then Halbrand tries to help. He's like, kneel. And that's another like attempted humor, you know. Was it Queen Regent Muriel? It's like, well, no one kneels here. And it really sets him off on a bad foot. So what if she had said, You bow to no one.
My friends.
Trademark. But Galadriel is too proud. She like this whole exchange with the Queen Regent is a little frustrating for me because like I understand. I love Galadriel's character. I love how badass she is. I wish we saw more of Clark and doing some like, combat and stuff.
Kicking ass.
Yeah. I'd like the troll stuff from episode 1. I want more of that. But I also feel like at times she's a little too focused on her goal, a little too stern,
too firebrand and
like
tactless.
She's like 10,000 years old or, 7,000 years old. She could have a little more tact as well. Right. Like,
but those are like elvish teenage years.
Yeah, true.
She's acting out.
Well, also though, I don't know what it's like to be immortal. I might just be the most arrogant prick ever in 8,000 years.
Like, shut the fuck. I'm going to take a shit and you'll be dead by the time I get back.
I don't have any time for this. I'm taking one of your boats. I'm going to fight your whole fucking army. Like that's just the way she is. And I'm like, maybe not do that.
Yeah, but it makes me curious as to what exactly happened on Numenor to make them so anti-elf.
I know. I was disappointed we didn't get that, and that's what
Just
what
didn't
your
show up
point.
to any of their weddings.
Yeah, just like Elrond.
You are banished.
That's like this whole season. It's just people mad at elves. It's like, you didn't come to my mitzvah. I invited everyone. You're the only one who didn't come.
It's like Steve's point. Like we just keep getting these threads tugged upon, and it leads to a separate thread. And there's no small meals. Like small solutions, small puzzles to be solved throughout to keep you like, I think a puzzle in a TV show should be made up of a bunch of tiny puzzles that get completed as you go along. Right. But this is just like another random piece. Like when you're doing an actual puzzle, what do you do, Steve? Corners first, borders, right?
Yeah, borders and corners.
Always bordered. This is like, there's a piece of the center. There's like the bottom left corner. It's driving me fucking nuts.
Here's a puzzle from last year you never finished.
Yeah, just a randomly different one.
And it's missing pieces because they don't have to own the fucking rights to it.
That's true. Bullshit. There's like cut up pieces of paper with like a smiley face. But Halbrand is clever. Like as soon as shit's about to go down, she's about to get imprisoned. He steps in like, hey, just give us 3 days. Then maybe think about giving us a boat instead of just saying no and this being awkward. And he's got tact, right? And a lot of the internet was under the impression, and maybe still is, I don't know, that is Sauron. Did we talk about Halbrand being Sauron?
I said that last week. Not on
you
the
did. That's right.
Yeah, I said that last week, not on the show. It was something I was editing last week's episode, and I had this thought like, oh, what if he's Sauron? I texted you guys.
That's right.
I threw it in the Streaming Things Discord at the time, and has that taken off as a theory online?
It has.
It has.
A lot of people think Halbrand is Sauron because he's known as Sauron the Deceiver. So everyone expects him to present himself as a character at some point that we don't expect.
How fun of a plot twist would it be that Galadriel, the object or the person she's been looking for the whole time, has been right under her nose?
I would have loved that.
And then there's a part where like he's trying to be a smith for some reason in this town. I'm like, he wants to make the ring. He wants to make that.
He's a fire-ass smith. Everybody knows.
He wants to make that ring.
I actually think
y'all making jewelry here.
Yeah. I actually think your theory is still very much alive. Even,
I think so too.
Even with what we learn about in this episode, if not more so.
When he said that, I'm like, yeah, you are the rightful king of soon to be Mordor. Buddy, I'm onto you.
Yeah, you're not.
I'm onto you, buddy.
You're not tricking Steve. Not even beardless Steve will be fooled by your wiles.
If he was like, hey, Steve, I know you think I'm shifty and I'm not trustworthy, but let me buy you around. Rounds on me. I'm like, fuck you, buddy.
How'd you get money?
Stay away from my guild crest.
Stay away from my guild crest. I earned it. I put it on it's on my little pin. I put on my shoulder.
It's on your breast. You can say it, Steve.
It's on my breast.
He didn't want to say it.
Oh my God, I said it.
So Halbrand's clever. And then that's when Galadriel gets upset. Like, no, I'm stealing a boat. I'm killing like literally all 10,000 people here and I'm leaving. And he's like, look, man, the Southlands will be there in 3 days. She said, yeah, but will its people? So she's trying to impress upon him that there's many thousands, if not, I don't know how many people populate Middle Earth. Millions? I don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
They haven't done a census in an age.
That's not in the that's not in the appendices. And he finally calms her down. There's some shit with the knife that I didn't understand. They focused on Elendil's knife, which might have been Galadriel's that he took from her while she was unconscious.
I think that's what it was.
And then are we supposed to surmise that Halbrand stole it as a
Yeah.
pickpocket back for her?
Because he's shifty. You can't trust him.
Exactly. Sauron.
Yeah.
He's a deceiver.
He's a deceiver.
Yep.
Ooh, I'm getting more and more convinced. And that's when we find out, in fact, if you didn't have captions on, this is when you find out that that guy that rescued them, his name is Elendil. And you might recognize that name as, I believe, like the High King of Numenor. And his son is Isildur.
That guy on the boat.
The one that should have been pushed by Elrond into the volcano and solved everything. But that's not what happened.
Okay, and he's the one who kept the ring, right?
He did, yeah. The whole reason the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy happens is because Isildur was not yeeted into the volcano, as Don Marshall says.
He should have been.
If only he had remained a sea cadet.
Yep. He clearly didn't pass the trials.
No.
And then we cut to Isildur ship stuff. And it's just like this little pirate romp where they're roping ropes and doing stuff. I don't know how to sail. So, drop the shits. I'll have you, Longshanks. Something like that.
There's a dude who looks like Khal Drogo just talking about how the sea's always right.
Yeah.
And he's just like naming seaman
Can we
platitudes.
just say, again, I'm this guy. The sea is always right is the worst mantra I have ever heard in a fantasy show ever.
Really?
The sea is always right.
What about
It's like the customer of the world.
what about nobody strays off path, nobody left behind?
I like that little ditty.
And what about like after the 50th time?
That's when it gets better.
Yeah, okay.
It's like a joke when you commit to the bit.
So what you're saying is they needed to say the sea is always right 25 more times and then you would have been back on board.
Be like,
with it?
the
No,
sea's
because
wrong,
there was
bitch.
no like second part to the refrain.
Oh.
So I'm saying, like, if they had just said nobody goes off the trail
The
over and over and
sea is
over.
always right. The sea doesn't come in on Sundays.
The sea is always right. At
Chick-fil-A?
at the even in the
sea-
day and in the night, something like that.
In the day and in the night.
Then I'd be like, all right, it's catching on.
There we go. The sea is always right in the day and in the night.
They just cut that part out.
We're picking up so many more listeners on this one. And then he's excited to see Isildur. It looks like he's excited to see his sister, but no, he's excited to see his horse. And I didn't write the horse's name down, but the sister.
Shadow facts.
I didn't learn this. Show us the meaning of haste. Her name is Aerion, I think.
Yeah.
Aerion.
Yeah, Arian, something like that.
I didn't learn her name until the end of the episode. That is Isildur's sister.
Her name has like at least 6 umlauts and dashes above vowels.
Aerion. And then we see, we cut back to Elendil and Queen Regent Muriel. And I keep saying Queen Regent because it's important to know, because obviously Isildur was the king. And so his father must have been king. And so how is she the queen? But she's the Queen Regent. And I believe that means that she's like the steward of the throne in the absence of the royal family. Correct? That's what a regent means.
Is it pronounced Regent? I always thought it was Regent.
Regent.
Whatever, guys.
I thought I was wrong.
I've always said regent.
It is regent, but I'm just saying you don't have to call me out on my shit all the
I
time.
thought I was learning something. I'm sorry.
I'll just stick to it next time. Like, no, you're wrong, Andy. It's Fawcett.
You know, you can mispronounce anything as long as you're just confident enough in your delivery. No one will question you.
Except all the emails that I got about Galadriel. That's why I'm so sensitive, because it's always me.
You piece of shit.
I was a lonely boy. I taught myself all these words, and I'm saying them aloud
okay,
now
buddy.
for the first time.
It's okay. We're all learning together.
Fawcett.
What? Faucet?
Listeners don't know that I thought facet was pronounced faucet. And you guys made fun of me because it was like a water spout thing. You don't remember that?
No, I completely
I'm like the different
forgot.
faucets of her personality, and Andy's like twitching. And
I don't remember this.
you don't remember that?
You don't remember the faucet conversation?
When was that?
Oh, it was
You were the one that corrected him.
Yeah, you were the one that was like, I'm not going to let this just breeze by like
Yeah,
that.
Andy's letting it go. I'm like, hold on. We are not going to let Chris get away with this.
I have many faucets to my personality. I like how Steve forgot it, and I'm literally got a chip on my shoulder over it.
That shit keeps you awake at night.
That's
and I
how
don't even
life
think
works,
of it.
dude.
Queen Regent Muriel. And then we get this.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I mean, you had to teach me how the fucking word was pronounced. We're talking to 50,000 people. Hey, but maybe next time off air, you know? No, never. Call me on my shit immediately. And we have this extended conversation where essentially Muriel's implying that Elendil's a traitor. His name means one who likes stars or some shit, but she's like, there's another translation. And yeah, the ancient Eldar tongue, which is Elven, I believe. It means elf friend And she's like, and are you an elf friend? You friendly elf boy? And
if he was a real friend, they would call him Melon.
Melon. Melon.
Melon.
Yeah, ever since we found out how to spell Melon, and I just cannot help but think of Gandalf going Melon. Speak friend and enter Melon.
And there's this weird little scene where I guess that sword that was given to him at the end of this scene was the promotion that he talks about with his kids.
To captain.
It wasn't like, because I thought what she was saying is, I'm going to need you to stab her.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I think that's supposed to be implied.
With this sword specifically.
What if like, because she was so vague in her instruction, that is what she meant, but he's like, well, I guess I got to guard her.
I got a promotion.
Kids.
Much more comedic. He stabs her. And she's like, what did you do?
No.
You're supposed to give her. This was her sword 2,000 years ago.
Oh, shit.
My bad.
Melon.
You can't just say that whenever. That's not how you get out of it. Anon. Melon. And then we cut back to the orc in, the internment camp of the elves. The orcs forgot their sunblock. They get very upset when they wander out into the rays of sunshine. They're searching for something is what one of the elves says. So they're not just digging is what the implication is. They're not just digging these tunnels to get around. They're also specifically searching for something. What that is, we do not know. Correct?
The bottom of the tree.
The bottom of the tree is one. Andy's got a guess. Steve, you got a guess?
The Legolas card
that
I mentioned earlier in the episode.
You knew
It's worth a lot of money now.
the jewel that Prince Durin's dad.
The Arkenstone.
The Arkenstone. Was that Sean Connery?
Yes.
Kiki.
Rattle your dags.
Rattle your dag.
Oh, damn it. We have to rattle our dag.
So, yeah, they're searching for something. The elves speculate. They don't want to cut the tree down. There's a whole hullabaloo about cutting the tree down. That's where the guy decides. That's the hill the guy decides to die on.
Well, the one guy also mentions like they have a leader. His name is Adar. This is when we first hear Adar's name.
Yes, and Adar is an elvish word. Mm-hmm. It's not the first time because
that's at the opening of the episode. They say take him.
Yeah, the guy's in his.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Take him
that's
to
right.
Adar.
Yeah. And but he's saying like they like this Adar. They revere him as if orcs are capable of doing such thing.
Yeah, such things. If they have that faucet to their personality. Yes. So Adar is. Could it be Sauron? We don't know because they talk about the elves speculate that it might be Sauron because they talk about how there's a successor to Morgoth because Morgoth's definitely gone, blah, 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 right? But Adar is an elvish word. I believe it means father. I'm not going to stake my life to that, but that's what I believe the translation is. And then they won't cut the tree down. The orc names, by the way, did you catch them? It's Vrath, Lurka, and Magrot.
Magrot cool. Is awesome.
He's like the little sergeant, right? The one that does the water throat cut trick.
Yeah.
And like this scene could have been so cool and it was good, but it could have been great if he had come out and it was like a minute and a half, 2 minutes shorter. Like, I don't know why they lingered on every sip. Like you get a couple sips, you've like horribly slit the guy's throat, right? Done. We don't even know who that is. So you don't need to linger. There's no, like you're trying to make a Boromir moment out of this.
Slow-mo and he's crying and stuff.
You don't need to make a Boromir moment. We don't fucking know who that is. Just like shock us in general. Like, that would have been cool.
Yeah, my notes literally say, oh no, that guy.
And I will tell you this, like every time an elf dies, this is just me, I am infinitely more sad because to me, it's like, because like, when a young person dies, it's generally, sadder than when like the Queen of England dies and she's 100 or whatever, just because it's like, oh, they had so much more life left to live. So in an elf situation, they have literally infinite more life left to live.
They totally could have cured cancer.
Like when the guy, I forgot his name. That's how fucking egregious this is. Aragorn's really good elf friend.
Haldir.
Haldir at Helm's Deep. That is destruction of my heart because I'm like, dude, he'd have lived for ever.
He was just trying to do you a solid.
Exactly. If he hadn't come to help, he would have lived forever. And so that's what makes that so sad. So this was kind of sad anyway. I don't even need to know who it is, but you kind of ruined it by lingering. And I'm like, I don't know who that is.
Not sad about it no more.
Yeah.
I was really expecting when he
Get his face off my TV.
when he cut the one dude's throat, I thought you were going to see like the water pour out of his
Yeah.
throat before the blood, but that's just maybe
It looked like a tiny little cut.
I did really like the way they did the cut though, because he was just, like the way that it went down. You know how like if you accidentally cut yourself with a really sharp knife, you're like,
yeah.
did I cut myself? Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of like, what happened? It kind of reminded me of a scene in the most recent scene of Barry where a dude gets stabbed and he was like, what did you do? And he doesn't realize that he's been stabbed for a while. It's crazy. But this
The guy in his
reminded me of
eye?
that. Yeah. Well, he was like, did you poke me in my eye?
Yeah, that was a
and
good
like
scene.
he had been stabbed like through the back of his head or something. It was nuts.
Yeah.
But anyway, spoilers for that. But
Well, you don't know when. Could happen anytime.
just like I love the way it looked like a little nick that then started
agree.
to bleed. Like the violence towards the end in this sequence was actually pretty wonderful. Like just like the little grimace, like, well, did that happen? Oh shit, yeah, dude.
Totally did.
I'm going down.
I'm going down. Tell my mama I love her.
Yeah, I thought the scene was really good. I mean, I agree.
I'm never
It
gonna see Valinor.
It would have been so much better if we really had any sort of emotional connection with that guy.
And since we don't hurry past it, make it like, the violence and suddenness.
But
of
I
it.
did like the tension leading up to that moment because there's that trusting, like, did you do something this water? And he's looking at the guy like, what's his name? Like Morrat?
Magrot.
Magrat's gonna be like, oh, it's pace. Like
Yeah.
I was expecting him to say like that was gonna be the turn because you can't trust these orcs, right?
What if he was like a really fancy orc and they sipped it and they're like, what? And he's like, it's
Grey Poupon.
It's seltzer water.
Well, they made orc. I put a 1984 Chateau Veneur.
Oh, the French orc maid. That's right.
You remember me, the character we created last episode?
I can't even keep our own characters straight.
Salut.
Salut.
Oh, no, sorry. That is just a regular water.
Adieu.
But yeah, I like the tension of them not entrusting him, and he lets
It's kind of a Tarantino
two of them
moment.
drink before, like because he lets them get comfortable. Like, oh, it is just water.
Yeah,
Before
the two
he's
characters we know better drink first.
like, and then he goes, "Aha, Nick just shaven."
I know. What if he was just like, ow? And it was all it was.
He missed.
You keep fucking around, I'll cut you on the cheek. Why are they Australian?
Is that Australian?
I don't know. I just do stuff.
Nice cone.
Nice cone. Did I do it? Nice cone. Me doing any accent is just a matter of not thinking about it too much because then I'll ruin it.
How long until it becomes Russian?
Oh, literally, probably in the. Damn it.
Potato.
Potato. Vodka. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to cross that note out. It's mean. We cut back to Galadriel wandering Numenor. She's like hiding her ears. She's about to steal a boat is what we find out very quickly.
Yeah,
But
she gave her guards the slip.
gave him the slip. And Alindiel is just waiting on her. Like, hey, what's up? You trying to steal a boat? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, don't do that.
He's, I would take that one, but
I was like, you better not.
You better not. Better not. I'll tell.
It was like, I'm going to burn this mother down.
I was like, you better not.
What if he was like, if you steal that boat, where will you go? She goes, home.
And he's like, oh my God, you know the secret word to convince me.
Oh, fuck.
I
wonder
love
where
that
that
word.
is.
Melon, let's go. So he earns her trust.
I looked away instead of at the camera.
He earns her trust by speaking Elvish. And I learned from the captions that dialect of Elvish is Quenya. And then there's a very unearned horse slow-mo.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah, it's about a quarter day's ride to the Hall of Lore.
The Hall of Lore.
Shot at like 240 frames per second. It's like
Yeah.
a freeze
Well,
frame on
this
this
is-
weird smile of Galadriel. Yeah, you really like horses?
The slow-mo shots of her on the horse are legitimately gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
And
The horse's flanks, the tassels. It's like a stripper horse.
Whatever camera that they used to film that is the footage they need to put on the camera's website that just kind of shows that this is what you can
do.
1138 is capable of doing on the camera. But in the context of the show, all I could think of was Bane from Harley Quinn going, "What are we doing?
Right.
What are we doing?"
The streets will run with Raji Jaji.
But yeah, because it is very like unneeded and it's just showing off the money that they have. And like in the edit, like as an editor, again, these people make so much more money than me and they're way better than me as an editor. So it's like, why am I even putting my 2 cents forth? But I will. If I was an editor and I got this footage that's fucking gorgeous, it happens all the time. You have to shoot your darlings, as you say, Chris. Like these are gorgeous shots. They should be seen. but this isn't the video for it. So I scrap a lot of shots all the time when I'm editing. And this is one of those ones where it's like, we don't need that. It adds nothing.
They're trying to sell this emotion again. They're trying to sell this emotional moment for like, there's like 6 of these in this episode that is completely unearned. At what point are we like gradually led upon the path of knowing that Galadriel is craving land and riding a horse, right? Like, I guess we can assume because she's an elf, she's really loves nature. But like this, like, did you say ride? Because she's been on an ocean for a while, right? Like I'm putting it together after the fact, but this extended, like there's no catharsis here that the slow-mo is demanding that I have. And I'm like, no.
No, sir.
I shan't.
Nay.
I just wish that was Shadowfax so he could show us the meaning of haste. I don't know who that horse is.
I forget the meaning of haste often, so I
do.
like to call upon Shadowfax for his expertise.
The meaning of haste. Flame of him, dude. So we cut back to Halbrand.
Not separate.
We cut back to Halbrand, and he's claiming to be a blacksmith, which he might be Sauron, so he might be an amazing blacksmith.
I'm on to you.
But the guild won't let him.
Sauron.
They won't let him bang no Numenorian steel because he doesn't have the
Got to get your Boy Scout badge.
guild brand.
Got to get your guild badge from the Boy Scouts.
Your parents have to sign the little book. You bring it back.
Yep.
You got to get the patch.
You got to at least participate in at least 4 pine car derbies.
You do.
If you forge their signature, we'll be able to tell.
So then he has a guardian. We cut to him just drinking in a bar, and he gets like some 4 or 5 Numenorian bullies nearby. Hey, you're hanging out. It's the guy hanging out with the elf.
Hey, Lowborn.
It's Low Man.
Low man.
Yeah, who's actually a king.
Aren't they always? If these movies ever taught me anything, is don't make fun of anyone who you think is beneath you, because A, they're a human being and you shouldn't do that anyway, but B, they're also
Most
likely
importantly.
a much beloved leader who has yet returned.
Yeah. Strider. So they like, what are you called? He's like, none of your business. It's the whole thing. And then eventually he decides, you can see him like, I can kill all of them. You get the sense that like he could fucking murder everybody here effortlessly.
Because he's a
which is
dark
why-
wizard.
Exactly. Exactly. But then he's like, nah, better not. You better not. And he decides to buy them all around with money. I'm not sure how he has because he doesn't even have like a real shirt on. Definitely doesn't have pockets.
Well, I feel like the queen
first time
probably
we saw him.
gave him and Galadriel
Like an allowance?
a daily stipend. Like if you are a
what's that
guest
called?
here, you're not a prisoner. You
Petty
get-
cash.
Here's your petty cash for the day, and he spent it all in the bar.
Now he's going to be
Like
hungry.
you do.
He's going to be hungry. Yeah, like Andy does.
Andy, are you a Dark Lord?
Maybe.
So this is all a ruse, though. He tried to steal the guy's guild crest, and they catch him, calls him a low man again. They fight, he beats the dog shit out of all of them. A little more violent than I expected this show to be.
Yeah,
in
it was
that
awesome.
scene where they snap dude's wrist and stuff, and
And you can
crunch
see
his
his
face against the wall.
his bone through his skin.
There was lots
Yeah.
of blood squirting at the screen.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, looked better than the pig blood.
Dude went for an uppercut right away. Steve pointed out. Like,
Oh yeah,
that's a bold move.
That's a weird first
yeah.
punch.
Yeah, like that's when you go to like finish somebody in Mortal Kombat, you do the uppercut, because then maybe the stage fatality will initiate. But
or if
like,
you're a cheapskate and you just stay there crouched and wait to get the, the
Yeah,
uppercut.
yeah.
If you- That's when you're Johnny Cage. You just do that over and over and over.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
when, now we know your game.
Liu Kang, it's leg sweeps.
Liu Kang is leg sweeps.
Yeah, and if you get far enough
then the
away
bicycle
from
kick.
yeah, if you try to stay away from me, you're getting bicycle kicked, brah. Don't block that shit. You better not. I'll get annoyed.
But he gets captured.
He does. He gets arrested by the guards, and we cut back to the Hall of Lore, which we found out was built or established by Elros, which I was really confused and angry for a second. And then I realized from the painting that looks dead on him, that's Elrond's brother. Because she's like, I was closer to his brother. Look at Elrond's picture. So Elros is Elrond's brother, and he made the Hall of Lore. I didn't understand what she was there looking for, to be honest with you.
I don't know if they said. She was just like, oh shit, you got a library? Let's go.
I love libraries.
I thought she just really liked lore.
And horses.
She's an equestrian lore finder.
You could mix my two favorite things together. It'd be called Lorses.
I have not had this much fun in so long.
In 1,000 years since I've seen a scroll.
I've been swimming for about 60 weeks.
Oh my God, you've got those racks that have like 7 to 10 unmarked scrolls in them per little section.
Is that a first edition Harry Potter?
I always wonder this about scrolls. How do they work? Like, are they like, I need about 1,000 feet of
scroll.
Parchment.
And hopefully I don't run out of room.
Yeah, what do you do when you run out?
So I think
Do you tape them?
the scroll is made to order. So you use parchment for the words, and then depending on how many parchments lined up lengthwise, that length is how much scroll you would need. You make that out of like maybe leather or really thin rawhide or
So
something.
this is medieval version of 240 characters.
Correct.
Okay.
It's the Hall of Tweets. Take me to the Hall of Tweets. Oh, this one's hilarious.
This one's funny.
You say Tesla.
This is when everyone was hashtagging Coney.
So I don't know what she's looking for. I'm sorry for all the humor, but I'm confused. But she does find out that,
Oh shit, this is really important to my plot.
Sauron's sigil is actually the map of the Southlands. So that the sigil that he was leaving everywhere was actually telling all of his evil brethren to meet him in the South, of course, where they could establish their stronghold in the event of Morgoth's death. And there's a little bit of a exposition about the High King of Numenor is in exile. You guys caught that. I was like, what? Who was in exile?
Because he's a friend. He is a true elf friend. And
He's
they
a real
exiled him for
melon.
it.
And so Queen Muriel.
He's a real melon.
yeah, he's a real melon. The Queen Regent Muriel's father is probably the one that like hated elves and started all this shit I'm getting. Because they made some allusion at one point to her father, like, we do not want the black cloud of your father to settle upon us once more. And then she goes to tell him the elves are back at one point. So that's what I'm picking up. And then for the listeners that are as equally confused as I am, Queen Regent Muriel has taken control of Numenor, or her father did. The other kings in exile because they hate the elves and they have started the anti-elf propaganda. Okay.
Yes.
As long as they're all on the same page.
That's what I gathered from it as well.
And then we cut back to the Harfoots. And I was really confused at first because I didn't know they were the Harfoots for a second because they were all wearing those like ceremonial grass skirts and stuff.
Halloween masks.
This
and
scene
shit.
starts off super artsy. Like, I actually really liked these shots. I thought they were gorgeously filmed.
Dude, everything is so beautiful. I can't stress that enough.
I didn't understand what it was at first. Like, it almost looked like the beginning of like a really whimsical A24 film.
Yes. Because it starts off with just the trees. And,
Swiss Army Man 2.
Yeah. And then luckily we get Sadok who's going, nobody goes off the trail.
and nobody walks alone. Nobody goes off the trail. And nobody walks alone. See, it kind of slaps eventually, Andy. Yeah. Nobody goes. So that's their thing. And this is when we learn about the Harfoot. This is the coolest part of the episode to me. We learn about the Harfoot culture, and it is actually quite fucking savage.
Yeah, dude, it's straight up Oregon Trail. Straight up.
Is that how Oregon Trail works? You got to leave them behind?
You got left behind.
So let's get
At
to
one point.
You got dysentery?
We remember.
You stay behind.
We remember Appleseed, Elf Jack died of dysentery.
Yeah, he's just reading off a list of everybody. So if you fall behind the caravan, they just leave you.
Yeah.
And then he's just reading off a list of everybody they've left, which includes Poppy's entire fucking family. Yeah. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah. She was the one that the landslide, right?
Well, he's like Paul Brandyfoot, Steve Brandyfoot, Carl Brandyfoot, Jessica Brandyfoot. And I'm like, oh God. Yeah. We left all those slow motherfuckers. She's like, we did. I left them too, I guess.
Turn to Morgan Freeman for a second. Oh, these slow motherfuckers.
It was so sad because the first one is like, I forget what happened, like fell off the trail and then landslide, wolves. And then he keeps going. He keeps going. And at one point he's like, Macaulay Culkin, bees.
Everybody laughs like,
That fucking idiot got killed by bees.
He did. He said that. He's like, he was an idiot, but I loved him. He was like, damn.
Like, that was a terrible, horrible death. If he was allergic, then he fucking suffocated. If he wasn't allergic, then he just got stung a lot.
This was so bizarre because up until this point, like the Harfoots are like, oh, they're just adorable little Harfoots. They like eating and being hobbits, basically. And then all of a sudden there's like, yeah, we fucking leave people. And then after the fact, we drink to their memory and say, we won't leave you behind. Yeah. Except we totes did. Especially that dude who again was killed by bees.
No, Chris pointed out they're like their cheer is like, we will wait for you, or we're waiting for you, or something.
Yeah, we're waiting for you now.
It's like, nuh-uh.
Once we get to where you're dead and we're at the new place, then we wait.
We didn't wait very long.
We don't.
It's like
also,
5 minutes.
This whole scene, the way it's set up,
we wait at the finish line is what it is.
We'll see you in heaven.
Yeah, when you get here, we'll see you. But I mean, you did.
And this whole scene is set up. I think it's intentional that it's supposed to be reminiscent of Bilbo's birthday party. In my opinion, I think it's 100%. supposed to give you those vibes because he goes up to the podium and he's like, 111th birthday. He doesn't say that, but he does, like, he cracks a couple jokes.
You gotta kill my bees.
And then there's like the Harfeet guy in the crowd that says something, and like it's the same vibe, and they're doing it on purpose. Like, this is the closest we can get you guys, and we know you love this shit. You love kooky little hobbits. That's what you love.
Kooky little hobbits.
You know you love them. We also find out some exposition about, at least that I don't recall knowing, about Nori. Her dad's still hurt. Well, we knew he had a broken ankle. Her mom was Rose, and she died. Did we learn that before?
No, I don't think so.
And he is with Marigold now. He's banging Marigold. Rose is dead, and Rose was Nori's mom. And then there's a little bit of back and forth between Poppy and Nori, where she talks about, you know, her still willingness to help the stranger. Poppy still doesn't want to do it.
Yeah,
like, he accidentally murdered fireflies.
There's common sense and nonsense.
I love that.
Nori.
That was actually
nice.
some of the dialogue's brilliant in this show.
I did like that because Nori starts it off by saying,
She said there's head sense and there's heart sense.
like, yeah, really kind of like flowery
Super
language.
earnesty.
And then Poppy's like, no, common sense and nonsense.
Yeah.
Don't dusty it up however you want, girl.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
This is some bullshit. I love that back and forth. I agree with you. But ultimately, like, she blackmails her into helping her help the stranger. And so he wants to go steal Sadok's, like, star pages. And she does. But then the stranger wanders up to, like, use the light of the fire to read the map. Sets the map on fire. Bumbles around like a fucking Home Alone movie.
Home Alone.
And then falls into the thing. And
I'm on fire now.
they get busted. Nori gets busted, and everybody says, you know, the laws of the Harfoot say that because she lied and brought in an outsider, the decree is that she must be decaravaned.
Decaravaned.
Damn.
What an interesting turn of phrase.
Not allowed to follow the Yaminers.
You've been decaravaned.
Yep. But then they say, she's young, so what they're going to do is stay at the back of the caravan.
Which is basically
Basically a death sentence. Yeah.
Well, especially because her dad's ankle's broken, and he's like, "Don't worry, I got a plan. We're going to stay at the front of the caravan." I don't know. He's not. That's not how he talks, but that's how I hear it.
I assume his goal is because he's in front and he can
can slow everybody down.
By the time he slows down,
he can slow everyone else down, but also people will probably help him because he's slowing everyone down.
and he's got much longer before he's not with the crew anymore. He'll just
Yeah.
gradually be more toward the middle.
Yeah.
And you can hear him in the background, like, "You talking about the middle of the back?" And it's kind of Pippin-ish.
No, I mean the back.
The back.
That's what I said.
Baby's got back. That's where you'll be.
I mean, they're honestly lucky that
caboose.
Sadok is calling the shots here.
The rear end.
Malva is like an ice cold queen. You know what I'm saying? She's
Yeah.
like, oh, looks like we're going to decaravan you just because Nori likes this tall guy. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that caravan you had, you ain't got it now.
You've been deed.
And Marigold is
Decaravan.
none too pleased about this. She's very upset. You basically killed our whole family, all because you think you're special. You're definitely not fucking special. You're a dork. Nobody's ever liked you. That's why your mom's dead. And I was like, yeah, Marigold. I may have heard that wrong.
She didn't say that last
I was
Your mom.
I was dealing with my own shit. She was really mean to Nori, and I like Nori a lot. So that's
Well,
all.
I don't know if it was mean. She was just being very
Yeah, she's
stern
upset.
because I forget what Nori says, but she says something like, he deserves our help or something. And she's
Well,
like,
she
oh,
said-
sweet child, you mean well. Like she says she's not being
She
mean.
implies that it's her destiny. Like he chose us for a reason or something like that. And Mary's like, definitely not. Super random. Shit be happening.
One quick aside is I did like how I think it's Nori's father who's like now Sadok. It is a pretty extraordinary tale that Nori's telling us, and Sadok's like, well, I've heard about men going to the stars, just never heard of them falling back down from them. I just thought that was kind of cute and funny.
Well, I don't even think it was supposed to be cute and funny. I wrote it down in my second breakfast. I meant to Google it. I bet that's a deep lore.
Oh, I'm sure
Thing.
it is, but just the way he kind of says it, like, I never thought that
Sadok's
you could
character's-
come back from the stars. But
Yeah.
going to hell yeah.
Yeah, Sadok's character is awesome. I think he's great.
Yeah, he's one of the better parts of the show for me, at least.
I enjoy him.
We cut back to Galadriel. She's still with Elendil and Isildur, and we find out that Galadriel's, or is that how you pronounce it? It's Galadriel.
Galadriel?
She's
Yeah.
famous. She's the scourge of the orcs in this part of Numenor, which I thought was neat. She's a bad motherfucker. And then I wrote Amarion.
She's like Achilles, but still alive, like in 2022. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, oh shit.
Homer's like taking notes right now. And yeah, Scourge of the Orcs. And Anarion is Isildur's brother, I think.
Yes.
And okay, so there's this whole back and forth. Basically, Isildur wants to take a gap year He's like,
I want to go to Europe.
yeah, I'm going to backpack across Middle Earth.
myself.
I'm going to go to Casa Dune. Maybe go a little tipsy with the dwarf ladies. And he's like, what? No, you're going to take your boat test.
Your family members from the north are coming to cheer you on.
Yeah. What do you mean? I invited the whole family. And so they have an argument about it. We find out that Arian, his sister, has been accepted into the building guild, which is apparently something she wanted.
Good for her.
The whole royal family we're getting acquainted with. We cut to Halbrand is in jail. There's a really funny... I like the relationship that Galadriel and Halbrand have. She walks up like, oh, keeping the peace, huh? You know,
Yeah.
I had a dope ass time and you thought I was going to get in trouble. Now look at you. It's just funny.
I do wish there was maybe, and it's weird because we're like, oh, they're not getting to the point enough, but I feel like they've kind of gone from adversarial, like unwilling companions on the one rickety piece of driftwood in the ocean to all of a sudden cracking jokes like, keeping the peace, are we, my good friend?
Yeah.
Halbrand, probably Sauron.
That's why when he's, not fooling him, buddy.
Not the whole time, like Galadriel, maybe you should just keep him there because he is what you call a Dark Lord.
That's what you call it.
Yeah.
He's what you call a Dark Lord. That's what we call him in my neck of the woods.
His mind is full of malcontent.
You bet to forge some rings.
Yep.
So this is where we find out he's the king of the Southlands. I don't know what those people are, and he's like, yeah, I'm the king of the people that worked for Morgoth. She's like, yeah, but the elves did some shit too. And that's her whole argument. They can both, what's the word? Redeem.
Yeah, she's like,
their people.
we started this war, which
isn't really true.
I was confused. I'm like, I didn't think you had.
I don't think that's true.
Last time I remembered, dude straight up turned your tree lights off.
He did.
And you got all
It's like
mad.
my dad one year when he got all crazy and threw the Christmas tree out the window.
And then he was like, it's your fault.
No, he wasn't that kind, but it was a sad Christmas.
I was yes-sanding a potential joke and unfortunately
telling you a real
stepped on
story.
the emotional rake.
I'm over it.
Apologies.
Muriel hates elves. That's when she's talking to her father, and her father who's dead, I presume, right? Like she's talking like the mausoleum of her father, like the elves are back. We cut back to the caravan. They immediately leave behind Nori and her whole family. Like they didn't last 3 seconds. They're like, all right, guys, let's go. Nobody leaves the train. Bye. Because he's got a broken leg.
We'll wait for you at the finish line.
Yeah, we'll talk about you at the next fire. Bye. And then they adopted a little kid because he was super slow.
Who the fuck was that kid?
What if the scene cut too early and what really happened is the kid was like, can we keep him? And then mom was like, who the fuck are you? He's not even a Harfoot.
This kid's just trying to gaslight his way into a family.
What do you think, Mom?
If I act like I'm really involved in this, I'll make them think they're dumb and they forgot their other kid.
He's straight up like Donnie from the Wild Thornberries.
I 100% thought so. They're trying to pull up the cart and her dad's having trouble because his leg's broken and they're trying to like, what do we do? And you see like the cart rustling and it looks for a second like something's underneath it. And I thought the stranger was going to lift,
So did I.
lift up and have like the cart on his shoulders like he's some like Atlas holding up the world, you know?
Yeah.
But you know,
He just peeks out like,
peeks out from the side like, huh?
Melon?
What if it was Celebrimbor and he went, hello.
I would be like, fuck yes, the stories are finally converging. Kellen Brimbor is the key.
And it was Celeborn on the other side. Tell me, where is Gandalf? I would very much, he's not existing yet. Okay. So the stranger pops up. He says, friend. And everybody's like, oh, yay. Which I assume he
says melon.
He's going to, hey, I'm a melon. He's going to pull the cart.
And Nori's like, if we help him, he'll help us, you know, like a society.
I'm kind of awestruck that, 3 episodes in, we still don't know who the stranger is. Like,
And the stranger has yet to actually do anything other than, huh?
he's still in caveman mode. So here are do you guys know all the running theories?
Tell me about the wabbits.
Well, we've talked about him being Gandalf. We've talked about being Sauron. Sauron. Sauron.
He could also be Sauron. That's another possibility. Very unlikely.
Well, it is unlikely because we all know that's Halbrand.
Yeah.
Indeed. Well, Yes. Well,
I'm gonna hitch my wagon to this so hard.
In the I agree with you, but in the Silmarillion, there has been some talk of Sauron being sent to look like an envoy of the elves or something. So there's even a theory that no, but there's a theory that like High King Gil-galad is potentially Sauron, which is why he's sending them all to Valinor and stuff. So it could be most likely Gandalf, unless that's a red herring, and then it's Sauron. But neither of those wizards are supposed to be in human form in the Second Age. I'm pretty sure. So there were 2 wizards in the Second Age. We don't learn much about them, and there's a couple lines in the text, but they're blue wizards.
Was Radagast one of them?
No. There's Radagast, Sauron, Gandalf, and then apparently 2 other ones that I don't know about.
Clyde.
They're both
Cynthia.
They're called blue wizards.
Cynthia's my favorite.
Isn't Radagast the brown?
Yeah, he's the brown.
So there's white, gray, brown, and then 2 blue boys.
Gandalf.
Cyan.
What if they show up and it's like, I'm blue, abadia. Sorry.
They just look like 2 members of the Blue Man Group.
That'd be
Like
amazing.
the black turtlenecks and the gloves.
So canonically, it might be one of them. I think it's more likely to be Gandalf, but yeah, they also think it could be Tom Bombadil.
Yes, please.
Andy says that every time we have a question, like, who's that? And Andy's always like, it's Tom Bombadil.
Andy fucks with Tom Bombadil so heavy.
He's got the coolest name.
He does.
He's
Mr. Bombadil.
He can turn into a bear.
Can
He's
it
a
be Tom
badass.
Bombadil?
No, I don't think so.
I think it can. I think he lives a long time.
Does he? I'm so unfamiliar. Like, I know the name a lot, but I didn't think he was around this time period. But I don't know so much. I'm not super steeped in the lore of Lord of the Rings.
You're a lore steeper. We need to go to the Hall of Lore.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do. How long has Tom Bombadil been alive? A mysterious being. Tom lived in the depths of the old forest close to the Barrow Downs. That didn't tell me shit. Is Tom Bombadil immortal? Proclaimed to be the oldest in existence, Tom Bombadil was apparently immortal and possesses a range of enigmatic powers, able to give full control over his domains.
Oh my God.
So yes, it could very well be Tom Bombadil.
He might show up.
Yeah.
Maybe he's Adar.
Adar. Yeah. So then we cut back to the elves and they make a go of it. It was the note that I took. I don't know why I'm getting so British in my notes. They make a go of it.
Are you taking the piss?
Why did I give it a David Attenborough flair? They make a go of it. And as you see here, the elves are about to fail.
Arondir and his nameless companions make it their quest to escape the prison they find them shackled in. I can't talk now.
That was amazing. There was a part where we were and his nameless companions. We were watching the show and it cut to one of those map segues, which is really handy and very necessary, where it shows geographically where the next scene's going to be.
Yeah.
And Steve just in the background did like an Adam West. Meanwhile, in the Southlands,
The Justice League narrator.
yeah.
Meanwhile, at the Southlands.
So that took me out of it for a minute.
I'm glad I can ruin this show for you while we watch it.
And then I get upset again because there's like the really cool fight. I like a lot of the shit that's going on, the flipping with the chains. And then they're actually beating the orcs because Arondir like jumps up with an axe. He cuts some of his chains off. His first buddy gets like hatcheted in the back immediately. He's like the dork of the crew. Like, you're barely even an elf. And then
Look at those little nubs.
yeah,
Call his ears.
kind of pointy ears. And then
Micro nubs.
They cut the what is it, like the rags that are covering the sunlight of the tunnels.
Oh yeah,
Cut those down, and the orcs are like, ah! And right before they're about to be defeated, he's like, warg. And I'm like, oh, what's a warg? This is going to be fire.
Oh, you don't remember the warg?
Exactly. They're just the things that the orcs rode to battle.
Yeah.
You didn't know that's what they were
They
called?
were called wargs.
I don't recall. It doesn't matter.
Dude,
My whole point.
as soon as he was like, call the wargs, I got excited because I'm like, oh yeah, it's this gnarly ass hyena dog horse.
It was
people.
just one.
And it was one. And not only was it one, it was like if you took a pug.
If you took Ren from Ren and Stimpy, put his face
If you took
on.
Ren and Stimpy, interbreeded them, and then had that offspring interbreed with several incestual children, and then breed it with a warg, you'd have this thing, and then cut it like a poodle.
Oh, gotta shave it a little bit.
Shave it, but you got that little tuft of hair around its neck.
Oh, you gotta have
this
a little
thing,
skirt.
This thing was the ugliest looking of all ugly looking warg
It looked
dogs.
like because of the little horns that it might have been the wolf, quote unquote, that was near the Harfoots when they were picking the berries. You think that's?
It could be.
Oh yeah, what the fuck happened to that?
It just didn't.
Just
Don't go pick berries.
Just didn't pan out my bet. My dude.
I'm just guarding my berries. That's how he talks. Don't you get my berry? Hey,
Yeah, that's right. You walk away. Don't take my berry.
hey, I'm wolfing here.
I'm wolfing. Nice. But yeah, this thing was so ugly and hideous, but I kind of liked it because it just was, it made it more horrifying. Like when he has it trapped behind the tree trunk and it's like sticking its face through and it just looks all like stupid and gross.
Yeah, that was cool with the chain or using the fulcrum. There was some physics at play there.
I love the violence of it too. When the first woman like grabs a spear, she's like, "All right, let's go," and then like inevitably that happens when like the big monster beast comes out and somebody's like, "I'm gonna kill it." They die right away. But like it knocked her down and she was like, "Yeah," but then it just like
It chewed on her.
It just like gnawed on her stomach and like tore away a little bit as it like moved on to something else. I was like, "Fuck!"
Again,
Like,
yeah, I didn't expect that in
it was pretty gnarly.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah, a lot of it was really cool. Like it was actually really sad when the guy successfully gets away, like his Medoc or whatever, his boss,
the warden master.
and then he just Andy was like, "Go!"
Because he was the shot is him standing in the field, and Andy was like, "Why aren't you running?"
And he turns around and he's got an arrow in his chest. Who shot that arrow?
That's true, because the other arrow comes from behind him.
I'm so confused. Like
Maybe he got shot and
blocking.
Then
It's just the blocking. It's a tiny thing. I assume it's an orc, but I'm like, from where? Because they don't like the sun. They can't be up there.
right. Well, that's true. Well, he definitely gets shot from behind the second time, so the arrow in front of him doesn't quite make sense unless he
Correct.
turned around, got shot, and then was like, "No, I can still make it." Actually, this really hurts. Look at them trees. Fuck. I got to dramatically turn and make a point to Aaron Deere, like this.
Oh, so you're
sucks.
saying the only way that makes sense is if he turned behind, like he went.
He was going to help Aaron.
Is Aaron Deere coming? Got shot and was like, "Oh, I better not wait on him. This sucks."
and then got a couple feet and thought like, "No, I'm not going to make it." I'm gonna
taking the view for a second. Is he looking yet? Is
I'm
he
actually not going to make it. That's funny.
But yeah, I thought the scene was rad. I mean,
yeah.
it compared to like everything else that happens in this episode, where a lot of it is just kind of like blah, whatever. I'd really like, I know Isildur is like super important to the story overall of Lord of the Rings, but like everything within Isildur, like I don't care about what is going on right now. Get off this boat. I'm tired of being on boats.
Let that fucking guy drown.
Exactly.
Move on.
There's so much where they want you to just like languish in the world that you've missed for 20 years. And I also have missed plot, you know?
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
However, the fight with the orcs, you're right, is awesome. I have it as my one and only old Toby. For the first time in our show's history, I was like,
You're doing a one and done?
how do I even do I make stuff up?
I mean, that's what I usually do.
Andy,
I'm begging you to watch the shows, Andy.
there are so many truth bombs coming out this episode. Chris is like, I didn't have a list. And he's like, I've never had a list.
Damn. Is anyone shocked?
Well, I have a list.
And we should say the show ends with him being brought. Aaron Deere is about to be killed, and they're like, "Don't kill him, take him to Adar." And they bring him to Adar, who's like kind of blurry, and that's it. Looks kind of like Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, this is
What if it's Elrond from the future?
Tom Bombadil.
this is like a shot from Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead, or is that what it's called? The Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how like everything was out of focus in that fucking
Yes.
movie? That was 100% this shot at the end. I was like, I'm having flashbacks to last summer.
Nothing but sun flares. So yeah, that brings us to our second breakfast segment where we talk about some tidbits, some lore bits that we found. Anybody have any?
I thought of one thing when we saw Elendil's name, and I was like, that sounds familiar, not just for Isildur's father, but also that is the gift that Galadriel gives to Frodo. I give you the light of Elendil, our brightest star.
Oh, because his name means something of the stars.
Something stars, yeah. So
Wow, good pull, Andy.
yeah, so apparently they homies.
That's the one that Frodo ends up using with Shelob, right? Nice. Nice.
I got big Two Towers vibes in the Orc Water scene where they're like, "Here, you earned a water break.
You look a little thirsty.
You little thirsty." But I got Two Towers vibes where, and what I totally thought was going to happen is that it was going to be Grog, like the orc water that they drink, and they go, "Oh, he can't handle his grog," when they feed it to Mary.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
like, "Stop it, leave him alone."
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that they were doing that again. So I that felt like that scene to me. So I don't know. I'm gonna throw that in my old Toby's. And then
Second breakfast.
second breakfast. And then when Nori was talking about if we don't have friends or whatever, what are we even living for? I got big vibes of there's good in this world and it's worth fighting for. Like the way that she delivered the speech and the way it was written reminded me a lot of that.
Of Sam? What about you, Steve? You got anything?
Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but that one guy's name is Isildur.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's the character.
That's the King of Man.
Yeah, it's the King of Man. He didn't throw the ring in the volcano like he should. But apparently he should have been boating this whole time.
That's true.
Think of this. None of Lord of the Rings, not the Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, Return of the King, none of this would have happened if Kid didn't go on his, what did you call it? Gap year.
Well, we don't know what he
his Euro
chooses to do.
trip.
Maybe it's because he doesn't take a gap year that leads him to the path of royalty.
Whatever. We are watching history in the making right
Literally, that's the point of a prequel.
now. Yeah. I'm now realizing that.
This is blowing my mind. I've got a
about
few. I glossed over it earlier, so hopefully the listeners that were angry about that stuck around. The tree that they linger on right before the scene of Elendil and Miriel, or she gives him the sword. The tree that's outside on the balcony, that is the white tree, a sapling of which is taken to form the white tree of Gondor.
Okay.
And when Gondor calls for aid,
Rohad Molansa.
exactly. I don't know how that's relevant particularly, but I do know that to be the case.
I wonder if it's the same sapling that Elrond provided. Is it the same tree? It's like cousins.
That sounds
Tree
weird.
cousins.
I wonder if that's the same sapling that Elrond provided.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I paid for a premium sample.
And again, I think the Sadog knowing someone who's turned into a star is a lore reference. I wish I had looked that up. People would have loved that. That's all I got, though. That's all I got. That brings us to the end of our second breakfast segment and brings us on to our old Toby. Finest scenes in the South Farling, where we talk about our 3 favorite moments of the episode. Steve, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is the very beginning of the episode when Arondir finds himself in the prison camp. I just like the way it was shot, how he's being dragged through the tunnels and you see the orcs being really mean to citizens. And like, I don't know, a lot of my like for the scene really kind of just hinges on the fact that I really like the production design and art direction of the orcs and that little camp. I think it's a really interesting visual and I like where that's at. And honestly, it was the most interesting part of this whole episode was anytime they were there. But Andy, what about you?
My number 3 is Nori standing up for having friends. When she kind of stands up for herself with the group of people and everybody says, we don't need friends, we need to survive. You know, if we don't have friends, what are we surviving for? And not just from the vibes that it gave me of Samwise, who is probably my favorite character in The Lord of the Rings, because I think this was probably the most emotionally impactful moment of the entire episode. It was also one of the first times that I actually kind of cared about Nori. So far, she hasn't meant that much to me. Like she's been fine, but it's not Hobbiton. And it's, my favorite of all Lord of the Rings is like the first half of Fellowship of the Ring. Just because I have so much fun in the Shire. And this is the first time where I felt that kind of feeling for the stand-in for hobbits in this, the Harfoots. So yeah, that one.
My number 3 is the Galadriel moment.
Oh, so we are making up numbers now, huh?
Well, I feel like I can't just be a dick.
Yeah, you can.
So I found some really small things that I liked. I kind of talked about it when we talked about it, right? My number 3 would be Galadriel, her moment with Halbrand when she comes back and he's in jail. Extremely small moment, but I was a big fan. Again, I love their relationship and their little dichotomy. And the fact that he's Sauron just makes it really sad later, right, Steve?
Right, yeah.
What's your number 2?
Tragic.
My number 2 is Harfoot Fest. Did they call their little festival? Did it have a name? I didn't catch it.
I believe it was Burning Man.
Congo line.
Decaravanning. No, I just like all the scene, like from the opening shot of, like I said, it looks like a whimsical A24 film, them dancing in the woods. I love the little fun, we will not fall off the trail. And then all the way up to
Nobody leaves the trail.
Yeah, all the way leading up to them remembering all the people that they left behind by bees.
Stupid fuck stung by
I know, it makes their one song null and void. It's like, nobody leaves the trail. Nobody walks alone unless they fall behind. Fuck them.
I think it's nobody leaves the path, nobody left behind.
So if you leave the path, you get left behind because the contract has been null and void.
It's nobody walks alone.
Is it? Okay, I think I got it wrong.
But they do walk alone if they fall behind. It's like, you guys are dicks.
I just like this scene because it really sort of subverts what I felt like we knew about the Harfoots. It adds a little bit of this moral grayness to them that I felt like was not there at all. Like,
they seem so innocent.
They're sweet, innocent little folk, and now it's like, oh shit, they'll leave a motherfucker.
And they're cannibals.
In the name.
What if it got really dark? That'd be amazing.
Nobody walks alone because we put you in our tummy.
You're always with us.
Nobody walks alone or else we will eat you.
But yeah, that was my number 2.
Andy, what is your number 2?
Let's see. My number 2 was the attempted escape with Aaron Deere and his nameless friends. It was just, the action was sweet. The violence of the warg was dope. Seeing the wargs again. Also, I guess we should have talked about that in Second Breakfast. The wargs from Twin Towers as well.
Yeah.
2 Towers.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Number 2 is the Halbrand. I just loved Halbrand. The Halbrand fight where he beats up the Numenorian bullies. Just because of the sheer violence of it. I didn't see that coming.
No, man.
And again, there is that like 20% of me is pretty sure that that's Sauron. So I'm like, what is he going to do?
He's going to get out that giant mace and hit him and they'll be knocked back 50 yards.
Honestly, magic in at least the Peter Jackson movies was pretty like amorphous, nebulous, like thrusting the staffs at each other. And like, we know
I love that fight so much.
He whispers at a butterfly or moth. Sorry. And that's it. That's all we see, really. So flame of Undun, but he doesn't flame no Unduns.
Yeah, he's not going lightning bolt, lightning bolt,
Exactly.
lightning bolt,
which is what I want. So I was like, what is he about to do? And nothing. He's just gonna punch him. But still, it was very cool.
It was.
Steve, your number 1 favorite moment of Adar.
My number 1, I feel like everyone's going to see it coming. It's the prison break at the end.
The prison break.
Andy talked a little bit about the choreography of the fight was really, really well done. The warg was super horrifying and scary and gross and ugly. And I
love the chain flipping too.
I still kind of want
like how they fought with their shackles.
They're like booping their noses by doing the sweet like twirl with the chain. Like that was super creative. And then they do like the 4-man chopping at the chain in synchronization. Like that's always cool. Whenever you see any sort of metallurgist doing that, where they're hammering something, but there's 4 of them, it always looks cool.
I watch so many metallurgists, and every time, gosh,
it gets me. It really rattles my dags.
Jiggles your dingleberries.
Yes, it does.
Yep. And then with it ending and like the way it does, where they don't succeed, that's always kind of an interesting thing when the villains end up winning. So yeah, number 1, I think it was a really well choreographed action scene.
Yeah.
Andy?
My number 1 is when Sauron beats the blacksmith's ass.
Oh yeah, he was a blacksmith.
So it was a group of blacksmiths.
He's trying to take his little Boy Scout pin.
Just because of the random violence of it. And I felt like the actor that plays Halbrand or Sauron was really convincing. Is like, oh my God, please don't do this. And then like, don't do this because I know karate.
I'm secretly John Wick.
Right. So that was awesome. And I thought the choreography of the fight was pretty sweet. The main reason that it's my number 1 is because it surprised me with where this show is willing to go. And it makes me really, really excited for when we get some bigger like sword fight sequences later. Like up to this point, we got like the fresco painting fight with Galadriel's brother, and then we got the troll. Everything else has not really been.
I want more.
A violence ching moment. But so when we do get that, I'm really excited for where they're going to be willing to go.
Charlie Vickers is the actor who plays Halbrand.
Well, Chuck crushed it.
And actually they have his credit as Sauron in IMDb.
Nice. face.
I'm just kidding.
Well, I was going to say, what? That seems like a pretty big spoiler there.
You would have thought we'd be excited about that. We
Andy,
were like,
Andy was just like, nice.
I was just deflated, like, dang, man, they spoiled it.
That was a joke. I did not. That's not what it says. It just says Halbrand. My number one is the same as Steve's. It's the fight with the prison break, as he put it. Way cooler way to put it. Which brings us to our one performance to rule them all. Your favorite performance of episode 3. Steve, kick us off and take us home, baby.
Well, I want to get a honorable mention to Lloyd Owen. I'm going to do it. You can't tell me what to do. No, Lloyd Owen, who plays Elendil.
Okay.
I like that guy because that dude just looks like he belongs in a Lord of the Rings thing.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
And even though a lot of the stuff he was doing in his like B plot, especially with Isildur, was like, I don't give a shit, I still liked watching him.
He looks a lot like Aragorn's great grandpa too.
Yeah.
I think it plays well.
You know that whenever Aragorn has like the knight, he's actually knighted in Return of the King. He's got the blue kind of regalia on.
With a Dark Lord.
Not that one.
His beard is fuller.
His beard is fuller. He looks like this dude. Yeah, you're right. He looks like he could be related. But really, my one performance to rule them all, because there can only be one, is how are we pronouncing her name now? Morfydd?
It's
Morfydd Clark. This episode was the first episode I really felt like they gave her more to do other than I'm stern and angry.
Right.
Like you got to see a little bit of her having some levity and having some like honest, like
She loves horses.
she fucking,
Oh my goodness, loves
oh my
them.
Lord,
And
loves
if
them.
anyone who's seen Saint Maud, she's a phenomenal actress.
Yeah, but they've
She's
only
not
allowed
given-
her to be one thing.
Yes,
so
just
far.
doggedly in pursuit of her goal.
Yeah, and this was the first episode where they allowed her to open up a little bit and really. I'm excited for the possibility of her doing more things and channeling more emotions and having more complex scenes with people.
Or if you're going to have her be a one-note killer, have her kill some shit.
Right.
You know, not just piddle around in her nightie. You know what I mean?
What's wrong with piddling around?
I don't know. Rattling her dags, just walking around.
But those are
don't
my
like it anymore.
performances. Andy.
It did ruin that idiom. Andy.
Yeah. So my one performance to rule them all is the actress that plays Nori, Markella Kavanaugh, which is like being named like Stacey Goebbels or something. It's pretty brutal.
I wish my name was
Is it-
Markella.
Is it Markella or Marcella?
It's a K.
Oh, it's a K. Okay. I don't have it written in front of me. Okay.
I'm with you, Andy. Mine as well.
I thought that she, as I said in my discussion of our favorite moments, is the first time that I really got some like Hobbit that I care about vibes from the show. And it took 3 episodes, but it got there. And I thought that her performance was earnest and believable and inspiring. And that's what Hobbits should feel like, even if they are like kind of a more brutalistic version of them. I still want, you know, the morality, and not necessarily morality, but like I want the feels, and I got it here. And so I was happy about it.
I agree with you. I think there's a couple, mostly her dad, I don't even know his name. I think he does a great job. And I really like Sadok. You know, he's quirky.
Yeah.
I understand his function. Like his stuff works for me. But Nori is truly remarkable. Like I do feel for her character on the level, because we don't have like, I like the Harfoots, but they're, and I swear it's not nostalgia, because I love this movie the very first time I saw it. Like you were just immediately attached to Merry and Pippin. You know what I mean? Like you loved them. Mm-hmm. Pippin was fucking hilarious. Second breakfast. Oh my God. That's a knee slapper, right? What about Elevensies? Like, it's funny. We don't have any of that really. It's just a bunch of like, I see what you're trying to do, but Poppy could get eaten by the wolf picking berries. And I'd be like, meh. But Nori is doing a really, like, it's connecting, like Andy said. So absolutely. I love this world. I'm excited to keep pushing forward. I think once we find out the stranger's identity, and I swear to God, it'll rattle my dags. If this is like an episode 8 finale, we find out who that is, and you have to wait till we spend another $1 billion and get greenlit for season 2, I'm going to lose my shit. Like, we got to find out who that is in episode 4 or 5. And
I've got some bad news for you, my friend. I'm not a betting man, but I bet that's exactly what's going to happen.
God, that's going to drive me nuts.
Based on the way that it's been spread out. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe episode 4, we might get Stranger's first words. At this rate.
Oh my God. You're right. I'm going to be upset. I don't know if we're covering
Even though
Rings of Power
technically
2.
this episode he did say Nori
And friend.
and friend. So
Yeah.
he was like Melon.
Melon. I think that's all the time we have for right now, but in a couple of days, we'll be watching House of the Dragon episode 4. And we've got a couple extra things coming out next week. So especially for our patrons, I did forget to mention, you can follow us on Twitter at streamingthingspod. You can sign up for Patreon at patreon.com/streamingthings. And that's where you can join our Discord. And we have a bunch of rewards and benefits that we got to start recording this weekend for our patrons. So look forward to that kind of stuff. But that's all the time we have for right now. My name is Chris.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things. Happy streaming. The new patron shout out. Thank you for your patronage.
You have a beautiful voice.
I don't think I do.
Aw.
It's pretty good.
Don't be so hard on yourself, buddy.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10 would smash. Well, we're doing patron shout outs differently this time, guys. We're going to do them once a month, and this recording will last the entire month. But in this month, we will go over the new patrons that sign up for the month and also the patrons who upgraded their tiers that month as well. Are you excited to find out the cool people that did such a thing?
I'm very excited.
All right, so let me introduce to you our brand new patrons. For the Try Before You Deny tier, it's Aaron Layton and Crystal Trujillo.
Hi, friends.
In the Marty P VIP tier, it's Josh and Anna.
Marty B.
What did I say?
Marty P.
Oh, Marty B, excuse me. How fucking dare you? I've been here for how long and you don't know my name.
The entire time, sir.
You've given me a terrible wound.
What if Marty B's like a Marty P, man?
Well, our new chocolate pudding producers, we have Alex Fisher, Brittany Deck, Enver Psycho. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm surely not.
Probably not, man.
Jen L, Jess R, Mandy Spears, Shannon Myers, and Zach Suthers. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, friends.
Thanks, muchachos.
And our final new patron in the Friends Don't Lie tier, we have Colin P. Frost. Thank you, Colleen.
Another P, man.
Thank you so much. Now we go into the upgrades.
That's the road less traveled, man.
These are the people that gave us money before, and we thought, hey, what about more money for these guys? Because they're just so giving and full of mirth, all of it. These people upgraded to the Try Before You Deny tier.
Try before you deny, man.
Andrew Gray, Jen Robinson, Casey McCain, John Collins, Kalisha Reeves, Kate, Kiki, and Will Nash. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And then these people upgraded to the Marty B VIP section. Thank you, A. Wells, Adam Horn, Adam Raymond, Arcade Shenanigans, Barb, Caleb Jeter, Carmelita Valdez McCoy. I love saying your name fully, Carmelita, because it's so cool. Chloe Richardson, Cindy Miller Ray, Elizabeth Hubbard, Enza, Jimmy Gadd, John Madden, like the John Madden. Isn't he dead?
Yes.
Well,
We thought.
Dead. But he's on the cover of Madden 23.
And now he's here to write X's and circles over footage of football players. Thank you, Jadinglage. Thank you, Jadinglage Morgus. Thank you, Katie Blair, Kayla Higgins. It's just me, the French Oak. Thank you, Lisa L, Marcus Mills, Michelle Moore, Nick Nolte, Nicole Cassis, Paula Garcia, Sean Callahan, Stephanie Pagalis, Suzanne Rode, and Sydney Day. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
And good night.